So the key components of this summarizes that it has to be about real life. It's usually role-based. You know, what do I personally as a worker have to do? Don't tell me anything else. Just focus on what I have to do. And it's usually offered in multiple formats to accommodate multiple learning styles. So kind of keeping it role-based first, the audience role. So adult training, it's not a liberal arts education, right? You should immediately focus the content on the role and the position of your audience. I also don't tend to blend people in my audience. I don't give a training that has audience members who are both report writers and data stewards. I'll separate them. Even if I have to do a program twice, you know, once for these 2 people and then once for these 3 people, I would rather focus on the role than have to accommodate both roles in the same program. So these roles here I listed, they're pretty typical data governance roles that you can just kind of focus on. Second, again, immediately focus on the task that this role will perform and let the audience, right, start pretty focused and let the audience ask you for more contextual questions as they need it, right? You come in at a pretty solid medium task level, and if they need more background information, you give them some openings to ask for that. Like, don't drown them in the overview. Just kind of quickly get to the tasks, and if they seem more lost than they should be, then back up and provide that. So let them guide you in that. 3, tell them in the beginning what they will be expected to learn or be able to accomplish at the conclusion of the single session or the program. So this puts the responsibility on assessing themselves whether they can do these things or not at the end of the program. It's going to help them listen and absorb the information. So if they have been told at the beginning, you should be able to do X, Y, Z at the end, and they're getting close to the end and they don't see themselves able to do X, Y, and Z, that's going to help them articulate where their gaps are. And they'll hopefully act on that and say, okay, I don't understand this part over here and that part over there. Could you go over that? Or I don't understand how these 2 things are connected. It just helps them cognitively identify their own gaps in what they've absorbed, or maybe even gaps in what you presented. Maybe you didn't present it as well as you could have. And they're going to just kind of fill that in for you because you know, they're going to self-assess right there on the fly. Can I do that task or not? And if I can't, I need this other information in order to do that. Setting learning outcomes also sets the expectations, and that kind of also gives people just a little bit of anxiety to listen more carefully if they know they're going to be held accountable for what's going on. It's also just kind of, for everybody, it's just a human, it just kind of perks you up a little bit if you make it articulate and clear what the expectation is going to be as a result of this training. There's consequences for what you're learning here. So 4, offer a variety of delivery formats. You do actually see this more in the K through 12 and even in the college arena. So offer formats that meet different learning styles. They also meet different levels of self-service and autonomy. I think you just want to really err on autonomy in the adult learning world, even more so than in college or in K through 12. So formats, you've got face-to-face, you've got recorded, you've got a blend of both of those kinds. Maybe in a program, in a training program for a specific role, you'll have a blend. I want you to have watched some of these pre-recorded sessions, and I'm going to offer these other 2 sessions face-to-face. So you blend kind of the delivery format. Still always offer print documentation. I still see a place for this. This is usually divided into 2 categories. The overview, I think, meant more comprehensive versus a cheat sheet, right? A job aid. In the adult learning world, we call those job aids. And you know, just a single page or a single website, just a few bullet points to remind them. They understand it generally. Here's the 4 or 5 gotchas that they need to be hyper aware of. And then last is offer some things on demand. So for a specific department, you'll do something customized, or excuse me, on demand means I have a canned program, but I will offer it to you whenever you want it. So I have a canned overview of Data Cookbook that I can offer your department. Maybe you want to schedule that for the first week in November. Versus I have a customized content that I can offer specifically to the registrar's office staff. So let people know that you can flex in those areas if you can. And then last, to kind of sum it up, the learner controls the learning. And they want to control the style, the pace, the actual content. Maybe you think it's something they need to know for their job, and it's possible they learned that in a different job and they have that knowledge already. And so they want to opt out or skip over it or ask advanced questions on the first day, in the first 10 minutes. So again, you can't always gauge where your audience is at. So you want to give them a lot of control over how they choose to receive the information so that it can align with their pretty extensive real life experience that they bring to the training as well. So to summarize kind of adult learning real quick, there's a lot of information about adult learning on the web, of course. But in summary, you want to be very specific to the work of the participants. You want to clearly tie it to expectations, and you want to offer it in ways that support multiple learning styles and multiple control areas. A couple more points about about adult learning and how to make it interactive. Gamify it. You got to be a little careful. This can be a little cute, but to sometimes just offer quizzes, offer compare and contrast. Ask them to give you 3 words that describe the data custodian job. Just kind of quick snippet things that you can ask them throughout a session. They can put things in chat. If it's virtual, you can put it in chat. You can put it in just to kind of keep them, demonstrate that that they have absorbed the information and can interact with it. That's what I mean by gamify. You can also offer a certificate. Use your existing student learning software that's on your campus. A lot of places will adapt that for training for staff and create a little module, a little course specific for maybe their role, maybe for just data handling in general, and provide the supporting modules for that, provide the learning outcomes, and allow people to work their way self-paced maybe through that program and gain a concrete certificate at the end. And that certificate helps them to feel confident that now they can handle data appropriately maybe. They understand what the rules are, and they've shown themselves that they understand what the rules are. Then they've also demonstrated they get credibility with their peers. And so it also helps their colleagues trust them with data work because they now know if everybody's got a certificate, they now can correctly assume a certain baseline knowledge. So it's a real confidence builder. It's a practical confidence builder that can be a strong foundation piece to data management. Another way to make that interactive is peer-to-peer. Create a culture where people with the same role are comfortable critiquing each other. So report writers share how they document their material through a specification. Obviously, data stewards share how they approach their work. And last is workshop. So this is a pretty heavily facilitated situation. I use it. This is the one I use most frequently of all these 4.